You said hit the gavel. Welcome, everybody, to the City Commission Workshop. It's March 18th, 2026, and I'm calling this meeting to order, beginning with the invocation from Pastor Mulberry and the Pledge of Allegiance from Commissioner Campbell. Please stand if you're able.
Good evening, everyone. Father, we give you thanks and praise again for this opportunity to come before you. We thank you for this session on today. God, we pray that your blessing will be upon the hearts and minds of your people. We thank you for the leadership, God, that you have provided. We pray that you would give them wisdom, God, to lead the city in the direction and the way that you would have it to go. We ask, God, for your divine grace and purpose, Lord, to move forward and those things that are necessary. In the name of Jesus, God bless our city continuously. Look on us, give us what we need, and we'll forever give you praise, glory, and honor for all you do for us. It is in Jesus' name we pray. Thank God. Amen.
Amen.
Join me in saluting our nation's flag. I
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call, please, Madam Clerk.
Commissioner Davis. Present. Commissioner Campbell.
Present.
Commissioner Jones.
Here.
Commissioner Borum. Mayor Carrera.
Present. Thank you. It's a workshop, so we don't have to be concerned about quorum, so we'll move on to public comments. Is there anybody here for public comments? Seeing none, we'll close public comments. On to discussion direction, develop board governance standards rather. Ms. Jones, where is Ms. Cardy?
Miss Carter is she's in her office.
Yes, but we're in a meeting, workshop now.
Okay, you want to lead the discussion? You leading the discussion?
Well, I thought, yes, but I mean, I thought we were going to have a little bit of a presentation first, but if we want to just go.
Presentation?
I mean, whatever.
So, yeah. And
If we want to lead right into discussion.
It
go
may
ahead.
be my fault, because she was trying to print something that I was trying to get for everybody.
Okay. Hi, we're up to discussion direction A, develop board governance standards. Just to bring you up to speed. Is there any discussion, question?
I'm nobody's starting. I'm gonna start since we're here.
Go ahead, Scott.
So I'm gonna start with what was in our packet. How about that? Because I don't. My first question is who created this document?
I did.
Okay,
Commissioner.
that's fine, no
It
problem.
was
No.
just a last minute ideas
No.
for discussion.
No, that's not what I was asking. I was asking because I just went out and also, and if we get it together, I'd like to share some information. It's just something to share. What I did is I really just, it's not nothing I created, it's a chat GPT, and I went to the city manager, ICM, one of those initials, yes.
ICMA.
And just ask for some best practices. So what I'd like for us to consider is, while this is a good start, I was hoping we could kind of start with something a little more comprehensive, because this just talks about attendance. And I think there's an opportunity with guidance from the professional organization that we create a kind of a handbook for our board and committees. And I know it sounds like a lot, but it's not. It's a lot, but it's detailed, where we talk about roles, form of government, appointment processes, responsibilities, meeting procedures, and onboarding and things like that. I'm looking for guidance because obviously boards have been existing in our city for a long time. But with the responsibility and continued service, I think there's an opportunity for us to set guidelines consistent for all, not just for attendance, but how are they on there? What does it look like? Which Ms. West in the document we provided, you know, the expectations, so all of these things. I just think there's an opportunity to talk about more than attendance is where I'm going.
Each board's composition may be different depending on what is said in the ordinance as far as designations for seats, et cetera, so that's a little different. I do definitely agree with the onboarding, having been on the Historic Preservation Board for 13 years, but when I started, there was no onboarding, and I
Yeah.
don't know that there is now. So I
Well-
think that's an important factor.
Yeah, so I have it written. I don't want to, I'm sorry, and I want to pass these out, but I have a copy for everybody. And that's
I also
appropriate.
don't-
Is that appropriate?
It's a workshop.
Oh, okay, it's in the workshop. Mm-mm. I'll give you guys a copy. Ms. West.
I also incentivizing people, we're coming up with a lot of things that I think frankly may discourage volunteers, not that I don't think they're important, but I think we also, why do people do this? What is their motivation, and why would they
Well,
continue to stay if the rules
yeah.
get
So
overwhelming?
what I'm giving you addresses all of that. That I agree, Mayor. That's what I mean, at least that's what I'm trying to attempt for us to do, is strike the balance between making sure our volunteers want to be here and that they understand what we're expecting. That's, I think we're saying the same thing, because we're not trying to run anybody off. And again, this is just very high level. I have more stuff. I need to apologize because I was traveling and I didn't get a chance to send it to somebody to get it out. Does everyone have one?
I think so, I don't know if Karen has one.
I don't know who all needs one. Okay, me either.
So are there any, okay, I have a question.
Go ahead. 1 minute. Go ahead, Commissioner Jones.
So is there any specifics that we need to address? Like specifically, because I think we all are in agreement that, yeah, it need to be some structure. One of the, if there's something that you're gonna address specifically, rather for you to go ahead and start, but if not, I do have some things I wanna address on these boards
Yeah.
and the appointment.
Okay. Go ahead.
I kind of want to take a step back for a moment, and being that this is a workshop and we may have people that are watching via YouTube or anything like that, for Attorney West to kind of give us a quick abstract version of why we are discussing this. I know we've talked about it previously in meetings with trying to ensure that we have a quorum and all of those kind of things, because it's been a little bit difficult in order for us to have individuals gather for whatever reason. So if you can just kind of give us a brief abstract so that those that may be watching on other platforms would kind of be abreast of how we are here right now.
Sure. So just to go back almost a little over a year ago, I was tasked with reviewing all of the different boards and committees that serve the city of Palatka. There's a matrix out there that shows the boards, the vacancies, the number of members. Very few of our boards have term limits. Also, our city commission does not have term limits. Commissioner Davis is correct, and the mayor as well, that depending on the board, the substantive criteria to serve on that board can vary markedly from board to board. And so there have recently been some issues with establishing quorum for meetings to move forward. That is not so much an issue with committees. All of these boards and committees serve in an advisory capacity to you. None of them, except for the planning board, make any final decisions. The only final decisions that the planning board makes are with respect to special use exceptions, conditional uses, and variances. And the buck stops there with those decisions. It never comes up to you. Those are quasi-judicial hearings, both for the Historic Preservation Board and the Planning Board. And most of the time, they are coming to you with their recommendation of approval or denial, and then you make that final decision. when they don't have a quorum in the context of the planning board and the historic preservation board, that does hold up the business of the city because people are not able to move forward with their land development proposals, and that has been a bit of an issue. So as a result, I believe Commissioner Davis spearheaded this effort to launch this discussion on this workshop today. And I was under the misimpression that attendance was the only factor, and that's
So-
why I only worked on that.
And that's why I do want to address Commissioner Davis and what she has brought to us, because I think it would be better, because again, when I first joined the planning board, there's no onboarding thing, and so you just kind of jump in. But I do want us to address the attendance and the recommendation for each board, if that's possible, and then we can introduce what Commissioner Davis has brought into us so that we can kind of bring it all together as one.
If I may, Mayor.
Go ahead.
So let me clarify. So I'm here for what the commission asked us to workshop. The only reason I was gathering additional information, because that's what we're here for, and it's a workshop, I'd like for us to do what we said we're going to do. What I'm trying to address while we are here together is, or what I'm trying to prevent is, if we address attendance, and then something happens in the near future, and we are commenting from the dais that, well, how do we replace the person? How do we do it? And I was just taking this as an opportunity not to shift, but to make it complete. And so while we're talking about onboarding, that was just one item I used. So if you look at what I sent, I was just saying, and we are doing some things by practice for anything that I pull together in this one document. I'm just asking, is it, if appropriate, for us to look at those areas and make sure what's documented is right now our practice, and see if there's an opportunity to refine the practice for the benefit of the city, those volunteering, and the overall board or committee. So I just want to give that clarification. I'm not redirecting our meeting. I was
Oh, no,
just
we-
trying,
I'm
no,
We didn't, I don't think anybody
I'm
took it in
just-
that manner.
I'm just addressing, I didn't know what was meant about what I did. I'm not directing this meeting. That's not my job. I just want to use it to be comprehensive so that, again, I have concerns that we piecemeal items when there's an opportunity to be complete.
Okay, and with that said, we're back to the, I think, again, what Commissioner Kibble was suggesting, that we look at the initial issue raised and go from there, and then look at Commissioner Davis's suggestions, recommendations. So with that, the first thing that had been raised was the attendance and lack of quorum.
Right.
Particularly for those, for all boards, but particularly for those quasi-judicial, as Ms. West just stated, the Historic Preservation Board and the Planning Board, that are crucial for the city to move along, and for individuals who apply for permitting or for COA or for whatever the case may be. It holds up their whole process, and that can be a money cost and very frustrating. So I think we have to address the absenteeism, the size of each board. Is it unwielding, or should we, keep it at those numbers? And each board, Ms. West, for my clarification, the boards have different amounts of board volunteers. They're not all consistent.
Right.
So some have, what's the highest number?
The highest number would be our charter review committee with 12.
Okay, but
That's
that,
committee.
that's, well.
This is for boards
This is
and
for boards and
committees.
committees, and that is something that's going to come up again. Right now, again, I don't know if we need 12 or not, but that's the highest, and the lowest is 5? Or is it 7?
5.
5, okay. Okay. Go ahead, Commissioner Davis.
No, I'm sorry, I'm not trying to take over. I'm really just trying to get us organized a little bit more. While there's attendance, I think there are two things. There's attendance and there's number of members. I think those are two
That's why I
different
brought it
things.
up,
And that's what drove me to just kind of put an outline, because the issue that brought this item to us was the planning board in particular. And the request was not for an attendance requirement when it came to us, it was to reduce the number for quorum. So all I'm saying, and that, so the two are tied, but I want to make sure we don't lose that.
That's why I stated both items.
No, I understand. I'm just stating what, so, and can I just say something? If I'm speaking in a way that makes someone want to justify, I apologize. That's not my point. I'm just adding additional information, not challenging. And if I'm coming across that way, I need to change my communication.
Yep,
Because we don't have to keep saying, that's not what I meant, that's not what I meant. So I do want to make sure I'm not initiating something that I'm not trying to, so we get away from the issue at hand.
So we can kind of move along in this process too. Anybody else want to make any statements, questions, add to what we've gotten to?
So I would
Go ahead.
again want to address the recommendation that comes from staff with regards to the reduction in the numbers so that we can kind of get that off of the checklist and proceed forward. So if we can get those recommendations first, I'd like to kind of proceed forth with that.
Ms. West, you could possibly talk a little bit about it, because we were looking at it because we had 9 members, and then routinely, I think only 5 were showing up, perhaps.
Right. That was just the planning board, which has 9 members, so for a quorum, you need 5. So did you want recommendations for each board and committee, or?
I just want us, in order for us to maximize the request so it doesn't necessarily have to come back before us and we have the opportunity to discuss, I think if you provide us with the recommendation, we can overall just take in consideration. Honestly, I've served on some of the boards, so I know how hard it is to come up with a quorum. So I just want to put it out there for just complete transparency as we have this discussion. And so if we put it out there, so individuals, when we can refer them back to this, but I just want a recommendation. I'm gonna go with the recommendation because I know how hard it is to establish a quorum. But I also want to make sure that, what are we gonna do in the event that we do reduce in those boards? Say, for instance, if we do the planning board, we reduce the number, what do we do with the extra people? Do they serve on, do we remove them? Do they serve as alternates? Like, I want, all of those kind of things has to be discussed as well.
Yeah, and I don't know if across the board, if all the boards, it should be a standard number for all the boards, or is there a reason why it's varying numbers, I guess is the question.
No, I mean, over the years, decades really, these ad hoc committees and boards have been established, and the numbers seem to be, from my perspective, pretty arbitrary. You do face an issue. The most recently revamped board would be, well, the Public Art Committee, but then also the Airport Advisory Board. And a lot of thought, and the airport manager is here, he can speak to this as well, a lot of thought went into the selection criteria for each of those members. It certainly would be awkward for some of our boards if we were to ask long-serving members to essentially step down and function in an alternate capacity or resign altogether. So I'll defer to you on how you want to handle that, but that might be an issue.
Madam Mayor.
Go ahead, Commissioner Jones.
Along the same lines, I would like to know from your recommendation, the boards that we're reviewing, the makeup of these boards. Are they made up of local residents, Putnam County residents, or a mixture, or people that's out of the county that maybe work here but doesn't live here, and things of that nature? I think that's important because some people may not be able to go get off work and then come back to a meeting at 6 o'clock or 5 o'clock. So that could be a reason for why attendance, and those things should be considered when we're putting them on boards. The third thing is, are they appointed by the entire commission or just the mayor appointment? Because some appointments are Yeah, like the housing authority position is appointed by the mayor, have been in the past. So that position really doesn't come, yeah, because I was on that board as well. And the last person was actually appointed by ex-mayor, and I don't know if you had someone recently, but those terms come up, those terms do come up, I think, every 4 years, maybe three, on the housing authority board. So those are things that we do need to know before we start talking about the makeup of the board. So I think though that information is important before making a decision. Because what if we have a board that consists of 3 people that actually live outside the county? You could expect to have challenges with attendance. So we need to be cognizant of that when we are making these appointments. Look at the current makeup. And I don't think we, truthfully, since I've been up here, we haven't looked at that. We looked at the applicant and just what they have done or what they do, the residents. And I've always had a question of if they lived here, should they be serving on particular boards, especially the ones that impact residents the way it does. Because if they don't live here, the vested interest is sort of limited if I got a shop here, but I don't actually live here. So the consequences of the action that I take is not really felt by me. I think we need to consider that when we start talking about appointing these boards. That's just like if we couldn't be commissioners if we didn't live within the city.
So is there anybody on any board that lives outside of the county? I know some don't
Some,
live in the
yeah.
city, but, go ahead. That
That
was just a question.
I'll wait till you finish your question.
Okay. I know the Airport Advisory Board has a
Yeah,
member that
some of
lives
them
outside, that lives outside of the county, rather.
How many?
Well, they're going to have to look that
Go
all
ahead,
up.
go ahead, go ahead.
Go
So,
ahead, you go first. You can take a look.
I don't have anything to say. I'm offering an approach. I just want to offer an approach because that's really what I was trying to prevent, because we do. There are some facts. There are facts. One of the facts is that we don't have a consistent number of board members, right? My feedback on that is I believe each board has to be considered on a case-by-case basis because depending on the nature of the skill set that's required, I think that will drive the number of people. For example, airport needs, this, and this, whereas planning may only need this, and this. So planning may be appropriate with 5, airport with however many we landed. So number one, we're not consistent. I think there's an opportunity for that to be looked at to determine if we, one, have the right skill set for the board. And to Commissioner Jones's point, not only the skill set, but then where should that person live based on what they're providing advice for? Because I think that will also change depending on the board and their expected feedback. Secondly, it sounds like, to me, and I'm looking to be corrected, is that we have inherited over time a practice. The third thing I've noticed is that right now there are no term limits. I believe there's an opportunity for us to talk about if there should be, but not to the extent where we're, to Commissioner Campbell's point, we don't, and the mayor's point, we don't want to, scare people off that is so rigid. And the other thing is we want to make sure we are appropriate in keeping institutional knowledge on those boards, but preventing stagnation by somebody being on a board for 10 and 12 and 15 years. So I think that's an opportunity. And then lastly, we keep talking about it's hard to get a quorum, and I believe that is based on the information I just said in the commission or whomever else not having the opportunity to fully sit down and look at this like we're looking to do right now. We're just continuing to move forward. However, not getting a quorum could be just that we don't have policy or appropriate policy, or not appropriate, updated policies, updated expectations, we need some kind of guideline or standard, I believe. And lastly, what I would suggest is, and again, open for feedback, that we decide what we'd like to see in a attendance policy. I want to start there because that's why we're here. And then we define that and then look back to say, now with our existing boards, is there an opportunity to either fit them into a proposed policy, which we'll do in the future because we're here just to talk about it, or, and there may be instances if they don't, we may have to look at a transition period that they fit into the policy. And so instead of asking where we are and what we have right now, I believe the first question should be, what do we want? What's a basic attendance requirement for our volunteer citizens to serve on these committees? And when I looked, I did see there is a standard, and actually Ms. West has it in her document that was provided. And I believe it was, where is it, the three? Oh.
Attendance expectations?
Correct, attendance threshold first. Is, a member who accumulates 3 consecutive unexcused absences shall be reviewed for removal. Attendance shall be tracked by staff and reported periodically. Any vacancy declared under this policy shall be documented in meeting minutes. And so I think we can decide, is that the threshold we want? And then we can backtrack and see where we can fit in or transition those boards. That's my recommendation at this point as to approach, because we all have the same questions. Do they live here? Do we have a number? How long they've been serving? So we know that's an opportunity for us to address.
Commissioner Jones?
Well, it's going to be very hard. First of all, how hard it is to get people to volunteer on the board, number one. And you start saying 3 unexcusable absences. Now, I want to ask you pointedly, Madam Mayor or Attorney, you're going to start asking these people to bring a medical note to you? You're going to start asking these people a personal questions? Because you said an excusable absence could be illness, family issues, transportation. Those are excusable. And if I say, hey, I had a family matter, I'm just saying, how are we going to enforce? We're going to put some out there that we can't really enforce. The attendance policy, illness, work conflict, family emergency. Anytime anyone miss, it could be one of those.
Can I answer your question?
Go ahead.
So that's, yes, but I don't think that's the scope of what we're talking about in attendance. That's not what I understand. So and that's a good point, and we need to make sure that's not what we're doing. On a board, there is a chair. If I cannot come to this meeting, I'm going to contact the city clerk and say, I cannot come. Whatever my reason is, it doesn't matter. I'm notifying her I can't come.
That's an excused absence.
That's excused. I don't need to tell her why I can't come. And so that's the scope, Commissioner Jones, that I'm recommending, not why they're here, but that they notify someone and they're responsible in that. Because what it offers also is the opportunity for the clerk or whomever to reach out to that committee chair to say, hey, 2 of your people have called, or maybe they're contacting the committee chair. But all I'm saying, proactively, that gives them time to make a decision. Do we need to move this meeting to another, or whatever the case may be? So it's not a why, but 3 unexcused absences is, we don't know you're out and you just don't show up, is what I'm thinking the scope is.
And it says that here in what Ms. West drafted, that, notify staff of the chair in advance if unable to attend. So it's clear, it's very clear in here, and there's no further information requested, other than I can't attend. You don't even have to explain why.
I got that, but I don't think you get the list of what I just said, the gist of what I said. That will be I'm just saying, if I was a board member, that's going to be my reason every time. And it says it like this, it says, I'm just reading what's here in front of me and interpreting. Y'all can tell me if it's wrong or not. Really, I did ask Ms. West, but when I said, if I'm working late, hey, I can't make it 'cause I'm working late. that's a call in, and it says, I know it's excused, but it says without prior notice. You ain't gonna be able to, if I'm tied up at work, I'm telling you 4:45, hey, I ain't gonna make it at 5. It's not prior, I mean, I'm not trying to make it more difficult. I see this here. But what I am saying is, anytime a person calls in, it's excusable because you really can't say 3 unexcused absences. Now, what I would like to know, since information is being brought to us, we're having problems. Can you give us or elaborate what type of absences you have been having to prompt us to this point? Let's get a little bit of background. Is that appropriate question?
That's fine.
Yeah, so I'm saying, so if people just laying off and not coming to the meetings, these are,
The best we understand, if they're not attending, they're just not able to attend.
But they're contacting
But
somebody
they,
and notifying?
in most
or-
cases, they have called, but you want to elaborate? Because in most cases, they've called.
But it still doesn't create a
But
quorum?
it's still, I don't think I don't think the problem is whether it's excused or unexcused. I think the sheer problem is simple. If they are not able to attend, 3 times, then they're subject to review, just as it said here, to review for removal. It should be simplistic.
right,
And to the point.
But it says unexcused absences
Oh,
will
does
prompt
it
the
say that
review.
somewhere? I didn't
Yes.
see
That's
that.
exactly what it says.
So maybe we
Oh,
need
take
to-
the word unexcused out.
Wait a minute.
Necessarily, we need to define unexcused.
That's
Unexcused means
exactly what I'm
You
at.
did not call in before the meeting, and we did not know you.
You did
were
not
coming.
call, text, or email prior to
I
the...
just understood that to be, I don't think it's that complicated.
It isn't, but if you're making a policy, it needs to be clear
No.
and concise. Because,
I agree.
so that's why I was pointing to
I
legal.
think
I
Commissioner
understand.
Jones's point is that you can even call in 3, 4, 10 times, and you have an excused absence, but it doesn't resolve the quorum issue.
Exactly.
Okay.
That's all I'm saying. So if we're gonna attack the reason, let's get to the core issue, and let's attack the issue on how can we stop it, or what's the problem? And guess what? Whose responsibility is it to contact that board member and say, hey, listen, I know you've been missing and you've had some issues. Is it, do you wish to be off the board, or some kind of conversation need to commence? Because just coming up here and saying, well, we need a policy, we don't even ask the problem. I'm gonna go even a little deeper. I'm gonna go deeper to, personal, all right? I missed a few meetings and I took them on Zoom. And I took them back to back. No one, not the mayor, city manager, nobody asked me, well, is everything okay? Nothing to get to the root cause. I mean, that's just as colleagues, maybe you might say that. So it would
I can't
be,
because of sunshine, first of all.
sunshine ain't got nothing to do with why you miss a meeting, but at any
We
rate,
get back, I just want to make sure we're not.
So,
And
listen, well, I'm gonna say, let me go back, I'm gonna go back.
just let finish, yeah.
Because, Madam Commissioner Davis, now you take a lot of time in the
Okay,
meeting,
okay,
in the
don't
workshop.
stop right
We're gonna
now.
go there because,
Point of order, you finish, point of order,
I didn't understand, that's all.
point of order, let Commissioner Jones finish. Go ahead.
so going back to what I said, there should have been some steps. Tell me, we come in here to make a change on a policy, or make a policy. I would like the clarity of, like Kim even asked the same question, what gets us here? If we're gonna make the policy, let's make it cut and dry. You interpret it, if you miss 3 meetings, that subsequently, the third or fourth one, we need to have a conversation. What are we gonna do? What are the steps we're gonna make as a team here, whether it be from the city manager, whether it be from the mayor, speaking to folks saying, okay, we're having a problem with the planning board meeting, and if it's the same offender, if it's different people, the reason why we're not meeting quorum, what is it? Y'all haven't told us that at all. Not the real background, you told us, you read this, but tell us what the problem is.
Okay, and then let Commissioner Campbell go.
But
and then
can
we'll
I get the
then we'll
answer first?
Then we'll get the answer.
I haven't
Just-
gotten the answer from when I first asked us So I think, again, we are all over the place.
Yeah, we are.
And we need to kind of key back in. The original question that I asked was the recommendation of the boards, regardless of if it's excused absence, I don't care about that right now. I want us to identify the boards that you are looking to have reduced in the number of members, and then we would be able to proceed. And if we can just get that, I think that'll be again, the first check in the box that I've asked for 30 minutes ago.
My only recommendation, because of the delays that it causes to property owners in the city, was the recommendation for the reduction of the number on the planning board. We currently have 3 vacancies on the planning board.
I see.
And so that's probably contributing to the quorum issue.
And it's probably the best time to do so
Right,
now.
and then pushing people
So
out.
you won't have to add to those boards essentially.
Right.
Okay,
Your document says 1 vacancy when you have that, you have posted here, Karen, on the bottom of that, so I'm just looking for.
Okay.
That's just a typo. There is 3 vacancies.
Okay, go ahead, go ahead.
okay. So we've identified that the planning board, and I know we can't take official action, but I
Today,
would make
yeah.
the
Recommendation.
recommendation that we move forth with the reduction of the planning board from the 7 members down to the 5.
It's 9.
I'm sorry,
It's 9.
9. I'm sorry. I should have known it because I
No.
was on.
Y'all talking for Commissioner Campbell? I'm
Whatever.
sorry, Mayor.
No, I'm not talking for.
No,
So whatever the recommendation is, I'm good with. And do we have any other recommendations that come from, or we're good with the number of, that's on the other boards?
So the recommendation also to follow best practices of other jurisdictions is to have an alternate backup for both your planning board and your historic preservation board because, again, of their quasi-judicial capacity.
That's fine. And also, with the list that has been provided by Ms. West, maybe we need to identify, because there are some members or there are some boards or there are some names that I see on here of individuals that are no longer alive.
This is a year old. This is from last year.
This person was deceased before then.
Oh, well, yes.
So I think there's an opportunity for us to kind of clear up to make sure, because that should be a vacancy, and I don't see, it's one of those boards that don't necessarily meet often, so that could have been a slip between the cracks. So Mayor, if I may,
Go ahead.
so that we can try to.
Move
Yes.
along.
So the recommendation from the decrease in number of planning board, review the members that are currently on the board. And I think that addresses one of the real reasons of we're here. And now we're able to move forward to the makeup and attendance issue. And I'll say this, while I do have everyone has addressed their opinion, I think the simple fix to that is to eliminate the excused and just amplify attendance as far as if you miss 3, have that conversation as suggested by Commissioner Jones. Because essentially, everyone knows, even though these are voluntary boards, there is still a work that has to be done. So again, it gives us the opportunity at that 3rd mark to say, hey, what's the issue, blah, 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 and then proceed from there. So I would make the recommendation that we exit out excused or unexcused and just leave at the 3rd mark, because that's just a standard on any board that you are on.
Go ahead, Commissioner Davis.
First of all, Commissioner Jones, I want to apologize. I wasn't intending to stop you. I was just trying to ask. I wasn't clear on what you were saying, but I understand it now, so let me offer my apologies. I do agree with Commissioner Campbell, and I'd like to further recommend, because after speaking with Lorenzo, especially for planning in particular, where we are having the issue, is, and as Ms. West said, best practices now for these planning boards is 5. It's common. So I would even like to further recommend that we just go to 5 if that.
Well, that's what I was suggesting, but you have the alternate, so now if you reduce it by
I'm
3,
gonna let you finish.
go ahead.
Thank you. Because I'm working on myself too. I know.
Okay, go
I'm
ahead.
not saying I'm doing it. I see myself. So that's why I apologize. So I'm recommending the 5, and that we do also have, and I believe what came across was it 1 alternate, Ms. West? Okay, 5 and 1 alternate. So I want to further specify what Commissioner Campbell recommended. Also, I concur with just making it absences. Don't put an adjective in front of absences. And the chair, they'll have that, the chair can discuss and determine whether it comes back to us or how that moves forward. Thank you.
And that would alleviate, we would no longer have 3 absences on the planning board because you've just dropped down to 6. And that would, although not, one of them is an alternate right now, correct?
5 plus 1.
Yeah. So, yeah. Yeah, 5 plus an alternate.
It's 5.
It's 5
Plus an alternate. But I'm just saying, you now have dropped down from, there's 3 vacancies, but the issue will be that there's no current alternates on the board, so somebody will have to be turned into an alternate. But that's just here. I think also onboarding is important, once we get to that point, because we need to emphasize to people that are interested in volunteering how significant their role is and how important it is to the operation of the city. And I think incentivizing people that they are really a part of this, and then when they do make recommendations, we take it seriously, which I know we do. But I think it's important that we do the onboarding piece, too.
Before we do that, Mayor, I'm with Commissioner Campbell now. I'm trying to reel myself back in. Are we done with attendance before we go to something else?
I'm fine with it.
Oh, I just want to make sure, because we're now introducing onboarding, I want to make sure.
And again, we can't vote on it, but we're fine with this policy overall with that change of just eliminating unexcused. Is there anything else on it that anybody wants changes?
So
on
what
the
would
consent?
happen with 3 excused absence? What would we do?
What would be the next step?
We're not having excused or unexcused, it's just.
But that was-
No, but he's saying if there are 3 absences, period, what's the next step? What happens for that individual on the board?
I thought I heard, because I thought I wrote it down, if a member misses 3, the chair needs to have a conversation with that member. Commissioner Campbell actually said, or I think,
Because I've been in this
'Cause you-
position. with
that's
other
correct.
boards, that we've had this conversation. Generally, at the 3rd mark, there's a letter that is sent to the individual stating that the attendance of,
Is a
you know,
concern.
and it re-expressed the importance of their role on that position, and you basically put it back on them, asking them if they are willing to continue, or if they're willing to, or if they're able to continue to do it. However, at that next reach out, they will be up for consideration to be removed from the board.
Okay. Well, we know that happens now. So is that what we recommend that happen?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm fine with that.
I have a question.
Go ahead.
please. Signatory for the letter.
Is the chair?
Yes, okay. Thank you. Just want to be sure.
Or do we, I mean, I don't think
It's
illegal.
appointed by, that position is appointed by
By
the
the
board.
commission.
By
So
the
it should
commission.
come from the
So
mayor then.
that should come from her.
Yeah, so I'd be
Thank
the
you.
signatory in this case,
Yeah.
or
We'll
whoever the
prepare it.
mayor is at the time.
Yes.
We'll prepare it.
So, are we done with the attendance part?
I believe so.
What about the makeup part?
The composition?
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead, Commissioner.
so
So-
we,
Go
we
ahead,
just
go
talked about the number of members for planning. So that's kind of where I was going earlier. In this workshop, are we going to talk about composition, which leads us to the number of members for each board? Because there are a lot of boards. What does that look like?
I think because of the fact that if you look at some of these boards, you have people on the same boards, which that is, I think, is a conflict and it's an issue because
we
we
don't.
think some people feel very empowered to, they know conflict of information and you start talking about sunshine, it may not be sunshine that they're violating, but they are probably sharing information that probably should not be shared.
Do
I
we have
mean,
anybody serving on 2 boards?
yeah, you do, you
Yes,
have a lot,
yes,
so
you
you
do.
look at your
And
list.
it's not a violation depending on the nature of the board's activities.
Okay.
So, but I think since we're
Oh, I know. Okay,
workshopping,
somebody comes to mind.
I think we need to address all of this, just like Commissioner Davis said, if we got the roadmap, let's get on it and let's chart out our course going forward. So, the first decomposition, do we want to, and I agree with you about the airport and things of that nature, when we have people with expertise to get on these boards, and I think they should come from the recommendation of the departments or the chair. Say, for instance, we should lean heavily on the airport manager, director,
For that board,
on
yes.
his board, because he could do the research. He would know what he needs to, and talk airport language. Recreation should have somebody to talk recreation language, or with the best interests of that department. And if they recommend such people, they bring the recommendations for, but we still approve. And I just think that is just good for clarity and working relationships. So, with that being said, but they're different boards. So let me clear this. It's using those 2 boards. I would think that Cutright would need people who are potentially could be actively involved locally with the programs that goes on at his facilities in and around town. That's with community affairs, recreation, everything they got going on. Mr. Yule, on the other hand, it could be regional or national level people that comes in and bring those kind of expertise, subject matter experts in to shine light on things, needs, trends, and so forth and so on, that they bring value to the board. Not just someone to sit on the board and say, I'm on this airport, and this is what I wish to happen at our airport, a wish list, but they actually have a rhyme and a reason behind it to say it's going to make us better because this is what my experience we have done in my time at JIA or something. And so that would be very good. And to get those kind of people with that caliber would be a plus for us here in the community. So that would be my reason for saying that. So I would say that a local decision board, like the planning board, like the we have a recreation board, gas authority, those people are local because those decisions are gonna affect local people in the capacity that they would actually either benefit or can participate outside of being just on the board. They could actually volunteer if they want to or what have you. That's my reasoning.
Yes, go ahead.
Do we have a list? I know it's crackling.
Yeah, we're trying to figure out.
Okay. Yeah. Ms. West, and I know we probably do, I guess, in the charter, but is there a comprehensive list of the boards?
Right here.
Oh, we have it in the
It's attached to
document.
that
I'm
packet.
sorry.
That's what I was looking at.
Okay. So to Commissioner Jones's,
And the airport advisory is very
where's,
detailed.
yes, where's the value? One thing I do want to make sure we clarify and say, because the boards, I think, are advisory in capacity, except for what Ms. West.
Planning and for appropriation. I say quasi-judicial.
Yeah, right, correct. I guess the question is, do we need to look at how members are recommended for the board? Are there some boards that, or is this a committee where the commission recommends somebody, each of us, or is there value in having a standardization? Like we just talked about these boards, perhaps the managers or directors of those departments, or I don't know. Is there value in consistency? Is that realistic? Or are there some where we need to appoint, I guess?
Well, and some of the boards by ordinance specify who, you know, who is the who comprises the board, what the seats designations are. Ms. West can speak to most of this better than I, but I know the Historic Preservation Board, for instance, has specific composition and specific seats. However, it's pretty loose in some ways as far as who sits in those seats. Same for the Airport Advisory, the Public Arts Advisory Committee too, also, that just happened, has, by resolution, has specific composition requirements for those seats. It was attached to this memo that we just got from Ms. West. So you can quickly glance through them and see, for those that, there are some that are taken care of, let's put it that way, in terms of the composition and specific seats.
Yeah, so then my question is going to be, as we're scanning down here, is there opportunity to reduce or any recommendations to reduce any of these other boards that are not, that have the number of members by ordinance?
So some of the boards were created by ordinance, others were created by resolution. So if you're going to change the number, for example, your Public Arts Committee that you just established, that was established by resolution. If you want to change it, it just takes a resolution. If you're going to change something that was established by ordinance, we have to change that by ordinance. The City Commission does approve of all the appointments. You'll see the last page of the memo that I provided contains, it's dated, but it's the old board/committee application. This is the application that is attached to your agenda packet.
And I'm happy that you mentioned it, because I always have an issue with the application, because the application generally is bare minimum information.
Yes.
So it really does not, and that's why I would call sometimes if the applicant was here or was present at the time of us making the appointment, so that they're able to identify themselves and tell about themselves. So I would definitely want us to revamp that application to allow us to get a little bit more information of the individual, and make it a requirement that they come before the commission again.
Excuse me, Commissioner Campbell, can I interrupt? I think there's a request for us to make sure all of our mics are off.
Yeah, if we could get that as make it, because generally it's on the consent agenda, and we're back at that. But I think when we're making these appointments, that it's important for us to be able to vet that person prior to us just agreeing to appoint them to the board, so. So when I say more information, if you look at some of the applications that have come through, that's really a bare, that it really does not allow us to dive into, I mean, of course it has professional qualifications, but most times the information that is presented to us is it's very minimal. So we don't really necessarily have much to go off of. How maybe just again recommending that they come before the commission to allow us the opportunity to ask questions that may be pertinent to the position. Can we cut that off? I mean, but how, it doesn't have to necessarily be addressed in this meeting, but that's something to take in consideration of staff. How could we get more information with regards Because again, if we look at it and we just go back to some of the things that I've heard, some of these applications may need to be different and may need to be specific for the board that they are referencing so that we are able to capture the, if there are requirements, that we're able to capture those on the application process, if that makes sense. So we may have to go to an individualized instead of a general application process.
Oh,
Education and qualification would be good to add on here as well.
and do you serve on any other city board or committee?
Does it say anywhere that you can't serve on two? I'm just saying, if it doesn't, it probably should be.
Well, that's not accurate. Is dual office holding, but it really depends on the capacity of the board. So if you have
Okay.
that blanket statement, that would not be an accurate statement.
No,
That's not what I meant. That's not what I said. I was just saying, on the application, I'd
give
like to
us the
know
knowledge of-
if this applicant serves on any other municipal board or committee. That's just information. Not saying they can't, that's just information I'd like to have when I'm considering someone for an appointment. And I do want to recommend, to Commissioner Campbell's point, that when we get, well, I'm going to hold back. I want to get to what makes sense that I want to make it a recommendation that we do get to see the person at the meeting where we're considering the appointment. So that goes back to, like you said, some things have been so informal. I know previously, when I've been on certain boards, I had to show up to the commission meeting in which they're going to determine if I'll be appointed. I'm saying that tongue in cheek because I want to go back to airport. Their person, I don't know if that's reasonable. If they're going to serve, though, they have to come here to a meeting, right? Even if they live somewhere else. I don't know. So that's my concern. I don't want to make a recommendation that's not feasible for certain committees.
So my statement was, and of course, as of now, we are utilizing Zoom or some kind of other thing that would allow them, but it gives us the opportunity once again to kind of ask those pertinent questions versus just consenting to that.
So I want that to be a recommendation.
Yes, ma'am. So I would make that a recommendation.
So currently, none of our boards, the attendees attend virtually. They all attend in person.
No. We're talking about at the time of the appointment by the
I see.
commission.
Or the commission meeting.
When they want to be considered by the commission, we like them to be on Zoom or at the meeting.
For the initial appointment, it's the initial appointment.
I think that's important. We start talking about attendance.
To back up for a minute, when somebody applies to be on a board, how is that? Does the city manager look at that? Do they contact the person and then maybe let them know that? That, they do request your attendance, something like that. Yeah, I think that would be the easy way than putting too much information.
I have a question. Should there be anything on the application that lends that individual to make somewhat of a commitment? I'm just asking. Can I say, are you committed to attending?
I think that's a part of the onboarding process.
Yes, agreed.
But there could be a statement on.
What I'm saying is, in these recommendations that we're going to get to, that we haven't gotten to, I do have that covered under there, and it is where, so, I mean, we need to consider it, but I have a sample commitment form.
See?
I had to sign one for the COC.
Yeah, and it should be on the application because they're signing this application and it says whatever date that department, just like on our agenda, it says when, well, it doesn't say when the boards meet, but it should have when the boards meet so that they would know.
But I'm not
Part of what
sure,
they're signing on for.
I'm not sure it should be on the
It's different. It's
app.
not- yes.
Oh, but you're right, because what if they say, I hear what Commissioner Jones is
Yeah,
saying.
they knowing what they're signing
Well,
up for.
well, I do think what should be with the application is something that tells expected, requirements
okay.
and.
The expectation.
Expectations.
Yeah, just a
Yes,
statement of
expectations
expectation that.
and requirements. Even though you're volunteering, there are some requirements. You need to come to me.
This is the commitment.
And I think I have a sample in here somewhere.
It's the commitment statement.
So you're right. That needs to be with the application.
But each board has a different, meets on a different date and time, so,
Yeah,
I'm just, yeah.
but I mean,
It's a general application right now.
and I think the commitment statement is general as well
Yeah.
to all applicants.
Yeah, and
that
so
you-
they won't get the exact date, and time of meeting, but they will understand that they are committed to this, yes, I agree. I'm just trying to keep it general.
Yeah,
not
but I
have it
think,
too-
I want to make sure you're not adding a twist or something.
I'm not, I'm trying to keep it as general as possible, to applicable as to all the boards as possible. Or I think it should
All right,
be.
so are we,
Yes, I'm in agreement.
I'm in agreement.
Member responsibilities.
We also, yeah,
So-
okay, have we covered that?
I'm sorry, Mayor, say that again?
Have we covered that discussion about adding that to the application as far as commitment and responsibility? We did start with the planning board in terms of the number of members, and then we kind of went off and didn't address it with the others, and are we just
So,
gonna do
and
that?
that was that's why I asked the question, what was the board that we needed to take in consideration? And the follow-up question that I had was that, I think, Attorney West addressed it, that there aren't really necessarily concerns with the other boards, that,
But for consistency purposes, what we would know, if we say 5, why can't we do 5 across the board? Then maybe where we're falling short, somebody will be willing to say, hey, well, I'll apply for this board. If we have 7, then we could replace them and put them on another board.
but see,
If that's
that
a
brings
desire.
up the concern that I had earlier. If we were to reduce the number of board members across the board, because that was one thing that I was taking into consideration, what do we do with the individuals who, one, want to remain on that board, because that's the board that they applied for, so they're not interested or would not be interested in going to another board, but how would that look? So that's why I said, even with the recommendation of the planning board, that this is the opportune time to do it, because there are so many vacancies, we would not have to put anyone in the position to step down.
And I agree with that, I was just thinking, maybe to be planful, and maybe people right now are grandfathered in, so to speak, so the Historic Preservation Board has a full composition now.
And so that's what, Mayor, I think, so what you're making a point, and I think that'll be addressed once we talk about term limits.
Exactly. Exactly.
This one right here is basically the website right now. This is the updated version, rather than
But if there's anything else,
if there's anything else that you want added to, I also have it, so.
What I'd like to say, I think one of the things we need is when people complete this application, they have to complete the application.
oh, and it's entirely.
Can we just get a completed application? Because otherwise, incomplete applications will not be considered.
I did want to go back to,
Ms. West, so I know you mentioned the date of these, and this is current I guess as much as we have documented right now. Are these the current members on, right, that's the point, yeah. So, getting back to, is it, I don't want to jump the gun, we talked about member responsibilities. I want to just go back, because we said potentially that would be with the application. Did we say that? If not, I want to recommend that member responsibilities are with the application, so they understand.
I think it needs to be. Yeah.
Okay, and so, the member responsibilities, there are some general responsibilities out there. Do we need to recommend those now, or is that something that staff will, I mean, what does that look like, Ms. West? Is that something we should come up with some right now?
I mean, what you're contemplating is basically a application form different for each board, and we can have boilerplate expectations and commitments on each application.
So that's not necessarily what I meant,
Okay.
unless we have to. So go ahead.
Well, based on what I'm hearing, it does sound like we're going to have to customize the application for pretty much every.
Oh,
So let me.
okay, yeah,
I made
help me,
that
'cause I missed it.
recommendation because, again, if we look at the application that we have, it's very generic. And if we are looking to enhance, or it can be that I don't care, but I just want us to be able to identify what is, say for instance, we have that is so aggravating.
Can you use other people's stuff? Got to be something. If you mute
Where's
it,
that sound coming from?
can you mute it?
No, hold on, wait a minute. Let them explain. Let her explain.
Either when you're sitting, all of a sudden your mic's on.
We know.
Yes.
But they were off before. Oh, yeah. So we were talking about just trying to capture as much information. If they can do that via one application, I'm fine with it. But the customization of specifics, again, what the airport requirements aren't necessarily met, or that information isn't on this application. So each board reflects a different, you may be able to use this for some boards, but when it comes down to the nitty gritty planning, when it comes down to airport, when it comes down to certain others, that application process needs to be a little bit more different because we're requesting more information to be provided from that applicant, if it makes sense.
That makes sense, and I wonder if it can be left generic, but then when it's submitted, that person, depending on what board they're interested, they meet with Mr. McNeil, they meet with Lorenzo, they meet with whomever is over that board to go into the specifics, like an interview. And and I think that might be an easier way to do it than rather than change this home form and make it too complicated.
I agree. I think it needs to stay generic. However, we do need to, I believe we need to know, and again, Mr. McNair, this airport advisor is such a great example because you have such specific skill sets needed. But if we're considering an application for the airport advisory board, and I know that the members, I need a local pilot, somebody Putnam County, we also need to know which role they're filling on that committee, wouldn't we? Versus not having two Putnam County people, but no real estate person, for example. And so my question is, how could we define that okay, let me say it this way, because I'm a tech person. I know we keep talking about these paper documents and writing, but truthfully, if there is a document, depending on what you apply for, and this is not difficult, if it's electronic, and I don't know, so go with me for the electronic piece. The drop down opens depending on which position. If I'm applying for Airport Advisory Board, it opens the drop down to one of these areas. Airport Advisory, I'm the Putnam County representative, or I'm the chamber representative. Because one of the things I wanted to ask is if we could look into having maybe an application hub, whatever that defines or means, that is not necessarily such a big deal, but we gotta get away from these paper applications too. But I don't want to introduce too much for that right now,
No, I
but,
think there's some, in my
Okay.
quick search.
Yes.
Because I've been over here just looking at different municipalities around us, that there are, and I'll submit to staff so you'll have something to reference. But it hits on the electronic version, and you all know I'm always trying to think of that transition to that paperless. But I'll send to you. And that's what, like I said, I have the application, like I've looked at in Ainsville, I've looked at Palm Coast, I've looked at just different municipalities, and also got some good recommendations with her.
now going back to member responsibilities, and I want to make sure, based on what you said earlier, Commissioner Campbell, and potentially needing different roles. The responsibilities I was talking about were generic ones, attending meetings and participating, reviewing materials in advance, providing input, sunshine law and ethics requirements, just general. Is that sufficient to cover all? Because these are the basic member
Also-
responsibilities. Is
Also,
it?
they have to be willing to submit that financial disclosure. And that needs to be at the forefront, because a lot of people
That
will
turns
probably
people
list it.
off.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah, so we need to add that. So all of that should be,
That's beyond us.
I appreciate,
That's beyond us.
no, that's required. It's a responsibility, it's a requirement. And so that's what's gonna clean up some of our boards.
Do we actually have housekeeping law?
Well,
Do we have the board, do we have?
no, we don't. I don't think so.
So we used, yeah.
They are notified.
Okay. So, well, that's right. So we do need to add that under member responsibility. So this little, are these generic enough? Do we need to add some, or do we need to define those, is my question.
That's what we get for, look. Let's get some of this-
Well, these were mine right here, under number 2 on this one-page workshop discussion here that I think you guys have. I don't know, they're very generic, they're not mine, they're generic. And then add to that, not willing to, but submit financial disclosure.
And which one are you referencing?
It says one-page workshop discussion. Did you guys see that? Okay. Anyway, I was just referencing number 2 on that sheet as some generic roles and responsibilities, and adding the financial disclosure to it. It's just a starting point. Check.
So currently, our clerk notifies all of our committee and board members of their financial disclosure requirements with the state. If they fail to file their financial disclosure with the state, they get in trouble with the state. It doesn't affect the eligibility for them to serve on the board. It's a criteria that the state law requires, not the
I
city.
understand. So,
So essentially what
give me
she's
some
asking,
plain
if
language.
if they do not submit the, this is me being honest, if they don't submit it, they're not in compliance, so they shouldn't be able to serve.
So I am not sure if the clerk is notified by the state yet of the
Yeah, the letter, don't ask me how I know.
Okay, so so the question is going back to, if they did not do that, is that cause for board removal? That's the question.
I think that certainly would be cause, because the whole point of financial disclosure is to let the public know if they have a potential financial conflict of interest.
Okay, that's what I was asking. Is that a question on the application? Are you willing to submit a financial disclosure? Because if they say no, yeah, you might, we don't.
Don't you normally just need to put like a statement on the application that says, you know, there's that one statement down there that says, you don't do it.
It's already on there, right? Okay.
So, y'all, can I just, once we wrap this up, I just want to address something real quick because I saw it that we talked about earlier about the multiple board. So one of the questions in a neighboring community is, may I serve on more than one board at the same time? And like Attorney West, it says, yes, you may serve on 2 advisory boards or 1 quasi-judicial and 1 advisory board.
That's not our rules. Those are commission on ethics rules, not ours.
Yeah. It's 2 advisory board, 1 quasi-judicial, and 1 advisory board.
We are in open.
May we go to term limits? Or is it time?
Just we're working our way, I think.
Are we good with member these are
Because
general
if we're talking about
responsibilities.
responsibilities, now it's time for us to talk about how they'll be able to serve. Just so some of the, I'm sorry, man. So some of the recommendations that I've seen in some of the other communities that are surrounding us, for example, you have on, so we'll talk about like code enforcement. The term for this community is 3 years, and term limits are 2 consecutive terms. So again, do we have a recommendation from staff on suggestions? Because again, I know this may affect some people that have been serving for quite some time.
My recommendation would be that you replicate your own term limit policy in the charter. So if city commissioners are not subject to term limits, then none of your board should be either.
I'm sorry, but I disagree with that. I disagree with that wholeheartedly.
So none of your boards or committees reflective of the city commission, which does not have term limits, none of your boards and committees have term limits. They have terms, but not term limits.
Thing is, that we are elected still every 4 years. So what has happened in the past, and you can tell by some of these folks have been on committee since 2014, and it's 2026. I think as the population changes, times changes, ideals changes, I think those boards need to change. Because even this makeup of the commission changes, or at least have the opportunity to change. I think the same should go with these boards.
I agree, and that does happen because they do have terms, but not term limits. So they could have a 3-year term on the board. They can apply to be on it endlessly. But again, after that 3 years, multiple people could apply. And it's up to the discretion of this commission to determine whether that person continues or not, or somebody new comes in. So that's already in place.
Correct.
So we've got that. That we have, again, that the, yeah, so that these advisory boards or committees have, I don't know if they all consistently do, but I think we could put that into place where they serve for a 3-year term. They can reapply to be on it again.
Yeah, so let me make it perfectly clear. They have terms. They don't automatically roll into their next term. That is
Right.
fully within the discretion
Of
of
us.
the elected officials at the time on whether or not you want to appoint them. So if you have someone that's been serving since 2003, that is because this elected body
Keeps reappointing them.
allowed it to
Or some
serve
elected
in that
body.
capacity.
Correct. Or nobody else has applied
Correct.
for that,
Correct.
volunteered for that.
Right.
So I have a question.
Good, that's repeated.
How do I know that?
That they've been on it for whatever. since
How do I
whenever.
know who's on a committee, how long they've been on there, when they were appointed? How do I know? This is the first time I'm seeing this sheet of paper.
I'm not saying that's your fault. I'm just asking the question.
But I think it'll be, as we begin to have people that may reapply, that'll be a part of, just say for instance, that comes from the staff to inform the commission that this member has been serving since, or, because you may have someone who served before, took a break, and came back to serve, so.
And it does say on our consent agenda whether it's a reappointment or a new person. You don't know how many years they've been on there, but you do know what they're going to
Well, should it be a consent agenda or something that we need to take action, because we need to bring that
I think it needs to be
regular business, because consent agenda, sometimes we get tied up on other things, and some things slide into consent agenda. Just being honest, and I think we all realize that. And I think that this is one that they are important because we're having a workshop on it. I think we need to bring it as a business and make appointments as deemed necessary.
So let me ask this. Being that, and I don't know if this has been a practice, but I've heard it tonight, well, this evening, that the applicant will meet with respective department head. So do we still think that if the department head is making the recommendation, that we need to, how does that look as far as
That's a process.
before we go through? So
I
making,
think that's important. That's why I brought it up. I think it's important for the department head who obviously is involved with the sport to interview the person, so to speak, to, see if it meets the criteria. So I think that's an important step. So they know.
no, I'm fine with that. I was just making, because again, if they are, or if they make it past the
whether we accept that recommendation.
Right,
and that's
so
it.
in that case, that would be an item that is on consent agenda, if we are just going with the recommendation. But again, that's why I want to just identify, so that if we're having that conversation, I'm fine either way, but I do think that ultimately, if the commission wants to ask additional questions, that's where it will fall up under regular business instead of consent.
Well, I think if it's our duty and responsibility to appoint people for those boards, we need to keep that. And we don't, just because they have a interview, they're saying, well, I think they're a good fit. We could take it as that, but we still need to, I mean, what I have seen is we're, a lot of our responsibility, we kind of like want to push it off. And it's like, we are going to be criticized or praised on if something go good or go bad. I would like the involvement, because if it goes bad, I can take it. And I'm going to be responsible. If it goes good, the same thing, but I also give our staff credit. Okay, I like to take the blame if it goes bad. I would like to give credit if it goes good to the staff. And so, just like we're reviewing this now, we can't put this off on others. This should have been coming to us. We shouldn't see people that's deceased on this list. So what it tell you is, what we had here has failed because it hadn't been coming to us. There are several people on here that I know for certain that they're deceased. And so, how could we say they reapplied? They didn't reapply. They couldn't. It's not possible that they reapplied to be on these boards. And they're still listed as board members. So we haven't been doing any purging or any updating. So who is in charge of that? Madam Mayor?
Who is in charge? I hasn't been, that authority or designation hasn't been given to me.
No, I'm just asking.
So
I'm asking
that-
you the question because I don't.
Essentially, it's the clerk, it's the city clerk.
Perhaps the city clerk, I
Yes.
think.
Well, the applications go into you, yes.
Just
that I-
have them working on it, so it's just a matter of finishing the work.
Go ahead.
I believe this is an opportunity, since we have the term, which I'm done with that, since we have. This is an opportunity I just talk about recruitment, which is what I think we're talking about now. Because we're talking about recruitment outreach, we know that there are some, where it needs to come from the department. The question is that the only place? And again, when I was looking at approaches, because one of the things somebody said was, it's hard to get people on these boards. But I think we need to update we need to establish a recruitment outreach plan. And some of the things I saw, obviously, because we've asked this from up here, well, how do we, or at least I have, and I've heard other communities as well, how do people know there's an opening? How do they know? How do we know? And so, but we know, I think we said the city website, and then, which makes sense, and, but there's opportunity for social media, local media, civic groups, and again, it's on this reading. We can advertise across all those channels, timeliness of posting them, so we can get people when needed. And then there's this one I thought was interesting, as we were talking about digitizing or making an electronic application process, maintain a rolling application form. So we now have people who are interested in waiting, and, we can pull from that. And all of those, I just want to see an opportunity where we get a more diverse notification and application, because we have the same. We're really not as diverse as I'd like to see in some of our boards. And if we do that, then the other outreach would be receiving from director. And so if we receive the recommendation from a director, I think that would be kind of the heart of what Commissioner Jones is saying. Not all of them come from the director, but some make the application because if they, can't find someone, this may be someone who's interested who has those requirements. Or, I'm maybe that goes out to that department, I don't know, but I'm just offering that.
No, I agree, and I think if you did, like, social media, through all communication options, like a featured, so there's a vacancy on historic preservation board, we need your help, and this is what it involves. But you feature a specific board and
That's right.
information about that board and highlight that board, so we create some interest, so we do develop this pool of applicants, and there is some people vying in some cities, I know, certain boards offer prestige or opportunity maybe to run for office in the future, and that's why people get on them, let's be honest. So I think if we can make it more enticing, more appealing, market it, basically.
Yeah, that's really what we should be doing.
Because we do need people involved. Because we have a lot of people that complain sometimes, and rightfully so, maybe not sometimes, but we need your help then.
And I guess my question would be to Commissioner Campbell, Commissioner Jones, and to you, Mayor, would that address what we talked about, definitely getting them from the directors or managers, and other avenues? Either way, I do believe it should be regular, is what I'm trying to say.
Maybe I'm a little bit confused because it's not getting the recommendation from the directors. The application is a general application process. They'll meet with,
Have an interview kind of.
yeah, interview. So the recommendation, the application process and the promotion will all be done the same. So it's not like, oh, we got a recommendation that's coming from the airport advisory. No, that person applied, the application went to they talked to them, and then basically like a vetting out process.
Because they need to understand.
It's not that because I don't want to put that responsibility on them to say,
I used the wrong word,
Yeah.
and you're right, not recommendation, but they at least need to talk to.
the product, yeah.
So
Embedded them, yes.
they need to talk to them and even get further understanding of what's required and
Correct.
what the role is.
Correct.
Okay, that's what I'm trying to say. Thank you.
And I think, and with the promotion, and I think Ms. Hall has done a phenomenal job with putting things out. I think that in order for us to be top notch, and I made this recommendation before, we have to move beyond flyers. We have to move beyond pictures, and we have to tap into the reality of the real world. And I'm not talking about REAL, I'm talking about the REEL, which is a social media. So we may have to look at different approaches, and I think Mayor said it phenomenally. We need your help. And what better way to put "we need your help" than to have a representative from that board say, hey, create a quick video and put that out instead of relying on a flyer. Because I'm more likely going to click on that reel versus when I see another picture, I'm going to scroll up. And so just thinking of out of the box ways. Because again, if you're talking to a millennial like me, I'm going to be, I would prefer to see it pop up on my news feed as a reel. Like I'm just speaking, if you want to reach me, the best way to get someone like me is through the technology phase. And it's not necessarily a picture. You know what I'm saying? It's, oh, this just popped up, and then it's something that can be shared. So just another opportunity for
Greta to do more work, but I agree.
It's not necessarily.
I'm teasing on that. I think it's a great idea, and I also think that for the more mature people, you may have to do some of the other.
Which is
We have
fine.
to
Like
see-
even when
right.
even when I made the recommendation, yeah, just like when we made the recommendation when we were getting the playground, one of my recommendations was for Joe to do an actual video. I saw that get spread more than some of the other stuff. So I agree. We have to be diverse in anything that we do, but in order to capture a certain audience, you got to make sure that we think about that audience we're trying to
I
capture. as
agree, and
well.
most people are visual anyway, regardless
Correct.
of.
Correct.
Go ahead.
So just a
getting those avenues out are great. You got to get that buy-in from the board members to actually be able to participate and to do the videos. A lot of people don't like to do that.
So that's
You and I,
fine.
you
It
and I are
doesn't,
good, and
if it doesn't come from the board, it can come from, I'd be more than happy to, hey, we need your help. We have this board available, this board vacancy, this board consists of blah, blah, blah. It meets this, blah, blah, blah.
Or we
It's,
can each take
yeah.
turns and take a
It's
different
not-
board, and we can all
it's not
kind of
hard.
promote a different board, I
Be
mean.
creative.
yeah.
Be creative.
Yeah. I know. Okay. Are we
So
set
we
with
got
that?
a recruitment outreach plan.
Yeah.
Is there anything from staff that we need to address that we haven't addressed before we dive deeper?
Before we move further, and you also have, do you have something to say? Because
Well,
you
I forgot
have-
what I was gonna say after so long.
You wait long enough, you'll forget.
So, yeah, I guess I want to, the question is up there, do we have anything else before we move forward? Because this is a move forward, what I'm gonna talk about.
Okay, can we talk about that online high level?
I have a, so generally when a member is brought on to, and like I said, I've been where I've had to do these several times, within the first 90 days, and we can shorten that time, they have to have a new board member orientation. And then then annually, the board in its entirety is supposed to do an updated workshop training of sorts to address any changes that may have come and to make sure that all board members are apprised of any changes and things of that nature.
And it's going to.
Sign off,
If
yes.
something's required, like the financials or whatever. And I'd like to recommend, if it's not too, unreasonable, the first 30 days.
That's fine.
Yeah, oh, I think it has to be.
No, I mean, I know that's what she says, yeah, but I just was thinking the first 30 days for sure. Oh, and then my question then would be, the orientation onboarding, who is that done by? Is it done by the clerk? Is it done, because the orientation is standard. Because we're talking
Sounds like Ms.
When we
West.
were, when I joined, or Ms. West, when I, was briefly on the, I know it's a committee.
Charter review.
Charter review, you know, how you take, that's what we're talking about. Anyone that you can talk about.
So, Ms. West, you were gonna say something before.
It's off topic. I think that's a very good question. Between the clerk and I, we work closely. We'll make sure that happens. I had a question regarding the recommendation for the department head to make a recommendation for board members. That's pretty obvious for most of these boards.
It was more of an interview process.
For example, for firefighter pension board, would that be the fire chief or the finance director?
Or would it be the chair of that board? That's a question.
It wouldn't be the chair because the chair is appointed by the body.
Consistent,
Yeah.
Consistent, you're right.
consistency.
And same question.
Did
with
you
the
have something to say?
General Employees Pension Board and Police Pension
I'm
Board.
the chair of the police pension board right at the moment.
So, do we, perform background checks on the people that apply?
No.
No.
That should be done.
We're gonna go on social media.
It's a good idea.
It's a great idea.
And then that's gonna reflect what the charter, the recommendation that came from the charter review,
Consistent.
on any elected official, they have that background check, so I don't foresee.
Thank you. No, nothing, I was just saying consistency.
So in terms of the recommendation with the department head for the firefighter pension board, the general employees pension board, and the police pension board, should that connection be with the department head for fire and police or finance?
Should it be with, I don't know if that's.
Well,
Just
I don't know
saying,
about that, that would be a lot. Or
We-
should
Just need a little
it be
direction.
with HR?
Yeah,
HR is HR does the pension.
That's what
Right, it's
that's what
under
I'm
HR for
suggesting.
pension. Right.
Yeah, that's what I was suggesting, yeah.
And then for the 4 appointments that you have for the library board, the county's library board, should that be?
Now, how do we make that appointment anyway? It's the county board.
Correct. The way that it's structured, it's a Putnam County ordinance. The 5 Putnam County commissioners each select 1 member, and then the remaining 4 are recommended by the city of Palatka.
That don't make a lot of sense. We have 1 library in the city,
It's
but the
not-
rest of them is in the
It's not our
county.
ordinance.
Yeah, it's the-
All right, well, weird.
it's
Well-
yeah, and when there's 1 vacancy currently,
No,
so
there's no vacancy.
there's no vacancies now? Okay.
When you get to your thing, you open up your emails and on the agenda for next Thursday, it'll tell you exactly.
So this list is not correct right here, what we have.
No, she's
This
talking
was
about,
April 2020.
she's talking about, no, that's on the bottom right here.
I'm looking at this.
Okay, so I'll just need guidance on library board, the Palatka Housing Authority, TIFAC, and the tree committee. According to that ordinance, all those members are appointed by the mayor.
So why is that?
It's an ordinance enacted in 1998, I don't know.
So it's 2026. So are we gonna change that ordinance?
Well, I don't know, you could, or I could be, the mayor could interview, vet the person that could come to the larger board, but right now, that's what the ordinance says, so until the charter, recommendation from the charter review committee, didn't address that, correct? That was, so,
It's an ordinance, not the charter.
well, that's right, it's an ordinance.
So we could, if
We
if the
could
board
change
so desires, I'm sorry.
No, we could change it.
Right. And I think, and I'm gonna tell you why I think that is very important. Being on the Housing Authority Board, I'm gonna tell you why. Just like I just saw you in an event, you see people who are engaged through the community or from the community in the Housing Authority, either day-to-day or programs that they need or want to see. When we start getting people that really don't have interest in what goes on in those communities, I think it's a disservice. I'm just telling you the honest truth. I think that, I remember being, well, because sometimes you can have meetings and you can talk about specifics, and members of the board have no clue of what you're talking about, the disparities and things of that nature. So I think that's important. I think that I've been removed from that board at least 6 years, at least 5 years, and there have been folk on the board that was there before me. And I don't recall, other than they probably submitted they wanted to remain on the board, that they remain, just rename. And I just think, like I said prior, I think we need other folk that in those positions at times. If not, at least they come up and say, hey, I've been on that board, and since that board, this is what happened. This is what's taking place. But if it's just stagnant to say I'm on a board, I think we need to have other considerations. That's all.
And
I'm not saying nothing bad about anybody on that
No,
board either.
I'm not disagreeing. Again, need more people, we need to recruit more people, because if that's the only person that's submitting an application, that's what you got.
Well-
And honestly, appointed by the mayor is kind of loose, but that is what the ordinance says. I haven't had a lot of involvement, so if I'm told now that clearly was my role, then I will sit down with an applicant prior to the approval from the commission and discuss with them what their role is and what their expectation is, and I can do that. And then it will come to the commission for final approval.
And for right now, but I think that's an opportunity if we need to do something different now. Because we're trying to.
Exactly.
Also, I'd like to ask, how are chairs of committee, does each board or committee elect their chair each year?
Not each year, it's based, it depends, but usually it's based on the term.
Okay, so I'd like to consider, the boards to elect a chair each year.
It's how
Can we
is,
talk about that and see if that too?
yeah, and how is it defined right now? Is it defined by ordinance? I mean, how is it determined which board return the whole thing?
It doesn't exist.
Okay.
Right.
It's just, but is it their prerogative or it's?
Yes.
Okay,
it-
that's what I
it
want.
varies from board to board. It's, in some cases, like HPB, it is dictated by ordinance.
Well, where it's not dictated by ordinance, and I want to just have a discussion on this.
Creative.
We talk about people becoming stacked and just sitting and talking to the same person running the meeting over and over. It gives an opportunity. Now, the board may, I don't want to put anything to say that the board cannot even. I just want it to be considered, because the board may want to elect someone else. And I think annually is reasonable. And it also, I think, gives incentive to board members and develop leadership, because some people want to. They just don't have the opportunity to.
No, I agree with that. I
And
just
so,
want
I
to make
just wanna
sure.
talk about it.
Yeah, by ordinance, which boards are determined by ordinance?
It's all, if you look at the
Oh, it's
third
all in
column,
sheets.
the
That's
legal
all right. Okay.
authorization, it will tell you.
Legal authorization, does legal authorization mean that an ordinance is on? And does it also mean in each of these instances that the ordinance tells, gives direction on the chair?
No. It's a two-part question.
Correct.
It depends on the board. Some are created by ordinance, some are created by city charter, some are created by resolution. In terms of who serves as chair, you would have to pull up each ordinance. The larger packet that was included with this memo is 63 pages. I didn't print that, but I can get that.
That's okay. So what my recommendation is where it is not dictated by ordinance, that board consider, or even
Sorry.
So is everybody okay with that recommendation?
I am, but I just want to say this, that 1 year, I think 2-year term would be better, because it takes approximately half of the year to learn that position of chair. And when you're going from just a board member to chair, the responsibility to learn how to run meetings and stuff, I think it probably would be a 2-year. But I agree with you 100%, because you have people that don't. I agree.
I just want some recommendation of electing somebody directly, so we don't have the same chair, unless the board wants the same
But
chair.
there's opportunities for it.
There you go.
So in what the sidebar was, I want to discuss it. When I look, I'm going back to the housing authority. They had one is a resident board member, and for a resident board member to be on the board for more than 10 years, you can't tell me that there's not other residents that move in that have ideas that want to move forward, and we're just not allowing that to happen. That was one of my pet peeves when I was on that board, is to make mention, hey, listen, what is this person doing? What do they bring to the table? Not discrediting anyone, but I was like, let someone else get a turn at bat, because fresh ideas, fresh things happening, and then the ability to do things. So, right, she's somewhat, there's challenges.
That leads to something else, and, should we recommend, talked about a chair, what about a co-chair or vice chair? Someone backup, and maybe that will also be the things happen,
I'm with it.
chair or vice chair.
And I think in some instances, I remember sometimes when I was on the fire pension board, that it was key that they had a chair and a vice chair. So I'm in agreement with the chair and the vice chair.
I also know that the newer CEO of the Housing Authority has been in fact asking what the process is, and he would like some
move
new,
forward.
fresh ideas, not again to downplay the significance of the people that have put a lot of time and years into it, but he's basically asking how can we make some changes for the future?
All right. And what about the gas authority when we start talking about that? Because the gas authority have been an authority that's been the same for a significant amount of time. And again, we start talking about people who have moved from the area, people who are currently in the area, people who serve different boards. And I think this is one that we could look at.
That is significantly more difficult to alter because it's in the city charter.
That's why we're doing a charter review, so we could address it,
The
right?
Charter Review Committee did not recommend any changes to that provision.
But their recommendation, we actually oversee that board, is I'm not right?
You just had the first reading approving of the ordinance, adopting all of their recommendations. So here's an opportunity, because you have the second reading coming up on March 26th. If you have additional changes, I need to know about that, because we'll need to republish.
That's the reason for bringing it up at this time. Because, I mean, we didn't have another opportunity prior, so. So what do you guys, board, what do you think about what I just mentioned? And well, maybe I'll ask Madam Clerk, what have been the terms for the people that have been on there? I know you probably can't answer now, but maybe you could give us that information prior to the next meeting. What the terms of the folk that are on this board currently? Because I see some people, well, there are people on here that's not on the board currently.
Are we strictly on the gas authority?
Yes.
I know at least 3 of them are feeling new, at least since I've been
Yeah,
on.
so, I mean,
Yeah.
So she
3 of
went,
them have
that was
been
printed
here.
just because we were asking for information. So I think it falls back.
we need, yeah.
But I think it falls back to, we are the ones that re-elected these individuals to the board. So if we're looking for the change has to start with us.
And I'm just gonna ask for code.
Exactly.
But we don't have a lot of time for the gas, specific to the gas authority with the second reading coming up.
I don't think there needs to be a change. We just need to be we need to
I agree. That's what I'm
advertise
saying. We need to be careful with,
if
yeah.
individuals are, willing. And so when it comes to the point of a seat, a vacancy, we, again,
I agree.
with the promotion and all that we talked about, we're coming into trying to get, word out to different people that these boards are in need. I think we just have to take a closer look. I don't think it needs to be, if the charter review didn't deem it to be anything that, I want to say, 21 recommendations or something like that. We just address it from the dais.
I agree, and I just want to make sure we're clear on that, because there was some discussion or just suggestion about changing it, the charter recommendations, and just because that would be cumbersome, I agree with you.
Thoughts, let me just go ahead and say it, because I don't want to miss the opportunity. It may be cumbersome, but that board have been meeting for some time. We did go through the first reading, and we allowed the presentation, and it was a lot of information. And at that time, it may hadn't, resonated to us. But at this point, we're doing a workshop, which brings these things to, I think everybody up here have had a old moment that, hey, I forgot that, let's speak on this. And this is mine. So what I'm saying is, it hadn't been, first reading is just that, the first reading. The second reading, if it had to take work to bring it back, and maybe I should talk to my representative, which was the chair, and say, hey, listen, what do you think about this? Because we hadn't had any conversation prior, but this is a concern. And to Commissioner Davis' point, when we're doing a workshop and we don't have fresh information up here, sometimes it's hard to see exactly what we're tweaking or what have you. So, not to point fingers at anybody for what's happening this way, but when we see it, we still see it before the action have taken place. And whether it be cumbersome or trying, it's still an opportunity prior to it being set in stone. So that's why I'm saying it. So it is an area of opportunity, and we could take care of it if it was necessary. So that's going to that. That's it. I wanted to say it and bring it out in the sunshine, because there's also another board that I had a question about.
Go ahead.
and that is the Police Pension Board. So, what happens when the criteria is for a person or it's 4 members and one of the people has to be a citizen? I didn't see where it says an elected official. However, on that board, it is currently the 2 required full-time police officers, which is the chief and assistant chief. There's a vacant position, then you, Mayor, are on there, and then we have ex-elected official that are running for a position that's on that board as well at this point. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. On the police pension, it has a 16 on it.
I thought we were under the assumption, and this is from even when I came in, that if you are running to seek office, you have to vacate your board position.
Is that usually
I'll need to look into that. I think that's a requirement for state office. I'll need to research that.
Because I had to give up my seat on the planning board when I sought election.
So on charter review, the committee, it wasn't until after you were elected. I need to research it. I just don't know off the top of my head.
It was after the election and I didn't.
Yeah, I thought it was after you were elected. I didn't know. Mr. Norwood was on it as the citizen prior to running, and we just reappointed him.
So-
That reappointment.
So do we address those things?
Let
After
Ms.
the
West
fact,
look,
board.
yeah, let Ms. West research it a bit first before we do anything.
Can I go back, Commissioner Jones, to your questions about the Palatka Gas Authority? So that would need to come on, any changes, it would have to go back to a first reading on that ordinance for the referendum. So I'm just not getting clear direction on what it is about the charter that you're looking to.
Well, you mentioned that you already had the first reading, and I know it goes up for vote on the second reading. My question was to address the concerns, or at least, have the information of, we start talking about term limits and how long people have been on this board. And a lot of times it's just give other community members an opportunity to, what we saying, recruit and be a part of what's going on in our city. That's it. Just sometimes a new set of eyes and ears. The board looks fine to me. However, again, when we talk about, I thought we said consistency. So that's a board I'm saying let's look at also for consistency. I wouldn't poke at the Housing Authority Board and wouldn't say anything about the, and don't say anything about the Gas Authority.
So the charter for the Gas Authority appointment in terms of members states that the City Commission shall appoint at the first regular meeting of the City Commission in January of each year such members as are necessary to fill expiring terms, each appointee to serve a term of 3 years.
3 years.
What is it that we're trying to change there?
No, first of all, I wanted to confirm the number of years. And
Yes.
if there was any expired
No.
term or limits have been met,
There are no term limits. Again, it's a term of 3 years. You guys.
and then we
make it,
reappoint, which,
Totally within the discretion of this commission. You don't have to reappoint.
And I think we're going to back to the same consistent process that we're suggesting now, is that, in this case, the Gas Authority Director would interview the person submitting an application to be on the board, and then we would go from there. I do know, since I've been in office, which is almost 4 years now, that 3 of these people came on after I came into office. So I know 3 of them are,
Termed out?
3 up in their
Should be.
3-year, just meeting their 3-year limit shortly by January, maybe. Mr. Lible, Mr. Vickers, and Mr. Screen. So, again, I don't think, a couple of folks have been on this for a while, but again, they keep getting reappointed, so we're going to count on the Director of the Gas Authority to interview them and see if they meet criteria. And if there are any other candidates, again, we're back to promoting and encouraging more people to volunteer to be on the boards, in a number of ways.
so when are we, this is my last question, man. So when are we gonna have Madam Clerk go back through these and give us a current list just so that we would know who's on these boards. And just like this list here, that actually give the term and when they term out, that would be great information to have at our disposal, so we would know. Could we have that sometime coming up soon?
It's up on the screen. But I have
Yeah,
been
if
working
you
on
can
it.
send that, okay.
It's just a matter of
Yeah.
finishing.
How long it take
The
you to?
airport advisory board, I have to go through those because.
Yeah, some of them are not on it
None of
anymore.
them are on.
Well,
Except
a couple of them. We just
Anyway.
appointed Melissa Miller.
Yeah, so the airport advisory board just now started getting their, they come in and these are the approved, and so I'll have to change those out.
All right.
But I am working on it.
Okay, so we should have it soon. Is there anything else?
What other question? Are all of these boards active that okay. So when we get that update, I'd just like to know what's not
The Board of
relevant.
Zoning Appeals, have they ever met?
It's still there, but they haven't met in a very long time.
Citizens Advisory Task Force?
Right.
That does not, that is no
Okay.
longer
No longer.
functional. Your charter review committee has
Right.
ended.
Right.
And when's the last time TIFAC met?
And also, I was looking at, what about compensation?
And
Yeah.
Don't they when the grant window?
Right, that's
grant
right. And
application
then-
window closes?
tree committee had a meeting. The tree committee, it basically only meets once a year in December in order to ensure that we continue getting the designations through the Arbor Day Foundation for Tree City USA. We did not have a quorum this last December, but the meeting still went forward to receive that designation.
All right, we're gonna talk about this for 2 hours.
Yeah, I'm done. So it sounds like we'll be getting an updated document. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Anything else on that? Okay, move on to B. Develop policy regarding staff and elected official relations. Is that you, Ms. Jones?
Okay, Madam Mayor, Commissioners. Okay, so this policy, it was designated to do a workshop on. It was a policy that was put together that I created actually at the directions of the city manager because of different things we were getting in communication with staff. This was also discussed with our tenured employees in our department meeting to have them look over things that they may know that have existed or hadn't, to get it changed before it was brought to you all. When it was presented, not for adoption, but for your review, it was decided you all needed more time to look over, to be able to dissect what's in it and what needs to come out. So we are here today and for recommendations from you all now as to how this needs to be changed.
So who wants to go first?
Because I'm sure I'm just triggering questions.
Go ahead.
So I know that in the charter, there's a recommendation, if I'm not mistaken, regarding, what is it? I'm reading information overload. Somewhere there's documented about our staff elected official relations. Is that existing?
Ms. Karen said it does exist.
Okay, okay. I think it's in the, sunshine, manual that you're talking about. Yeah, so wherever it is, we need to find out where that is, because what I want to understand is this necessary? Is it a duplicate of something that exists as a standard? And if so, what are we trying to accomplish? And what was the driver again? Can you remind me?
It was basically, from my understanding, BCCing to the commissioners from staff and the city manager was not notified. When she received this, it was my direction from her to create a policy so that if this behavior continued, it would be something outlined as to the consequences for this.
Got it. So then that does drive me to another question. You said BCC to the commissioners. Are there instances of it going, who did it go to when the commissioners might have been BCC? Was it to HR? Because obviously it wasn't to the city manager. It sounds like based on your response. Is that?
I've received one. I've received one that was BCC'd. I was BCC'd on it too. Not to,
Was there a two per, or
Who was it sent
who
to?
was it sent to?
no.
No one? It was just BCC, everybody?
Yes.
So, but we know who it's coming from. So, when it's, I guess here's where I'm going. An employee, there's an employee code of conduct. And the employee knows that who they report to and when they're not. So I'm concerned that we're just creating all these policies instead of a manager handling the business at hand. That's what I'm concerned about. And I don't see that this is necessary.
Okay.
And
I think it's just not necessary. I think somebody's got to do their job.
And Shore did not actually express this at the meeting.
Okay.
That's why I was hesitant to say, because I was gonna actually,
That's all I'm trying to get
and I'm happy that you did it, but I'm gonna still say what I'm gonna say, this is pointless.
Okay.
Right. Thank you. Commissioner.
Hold people accountable for their actions. We have policies, we've got laws, we got lots of stuff.
Okay.
Thank you.
Here. On to the next item, Public Works Building.
It's kinda have to have, and I'm gonna say this. I know the decision is up to us, but I'm concerned that nobody from Public Works is here.
I was gonna.
Oh, yeah.
Right,
I was
and
gonna ask if they're.
they were, wow, you're right. Is he on the Zoom?
No.
I also,
Do have some information that I shared briefly with you that I.
Yeah, but first let them have the assimilation and then.
yeah.
Okay, so I'm sorry that Public Works is not here. We do have Community Affairs here who does work closely with them.
That's not good
But
enough.
it's still not Public Works, you know? So what I did, I tried to go back and find everything I could concerning Public Works and the development. What I was able to find is back in 2019, I think they made a presentation at that time to the commissioners, I guess, to justify getting a new home. And so these are some of the pictures that I found and them explaining why they needed to move. But there was really not, I could not find a lot, I couldn't find anything too much about what was the intent for the usage of the building after they move out. I really couldn't find much of that.
I don't think
I don't think
that was ever established.
Oh, that was never established.
Yeah.
Okay, that's why I couldn't find anything. And then finally, at the last minute, I think yesterday evening, because I had heard in the wind that there was something about Booker Park, that the space was going to be utilized for a
So
parking lot. and a
I was here.
softball
I was here during that time, and the
Okay.
conversation was to expand the existing Booker Park into what you just stated, either another field or parking, because currently, even during the season when it is in use, the parking at that is literally, you're down the road, parking on the side of the road.
Okay.
And so the vision was to have that be parking for the fields.
I have a question, though, that we can't really answer here, but it's a question. Is there any concern about a brownfield site on
There
that
is,
property?
that's why Ms.
Yeah,
West is gonna
okay,
talk
that
about
was,
that part. I
yeah.
just first wanted to put this part out.
yeah, okay.
So, today, and then to finish the part I wanted to address is, we have had at least 3 or 4 companies express the desire to purchase or rent the facility, okay?
We talked about that and we said no.
What happened?
We talked about that and we said no, because
I-
there's I know it was brought to us before, but the residents in that area did not want heavy traffic to be
Okay.
coming down that road. So we did say no to that, and that was recently that someone, brought that to us and we had that conversation.
And that was
Okay.
one of the justifications for relocating Public Works, was the heavy traffic to residential. So we don't want to replicate that with another
Correct.
entity.
Okay, now I learned that too. And now Ms. West found out more or gave us more info today.
So the site is being monitored for brownfield spill and cleanup. There is a FDP contractor. This was just put on my radar recently, so I don't have full information on that.
Okay.
But in addition to that, there was a grant from 2017 for $750,000 from FERDAP, where the funding was appropriated to develop an approved public outdoor recreation space. And it is dedicated in perpetuity as an outdoor recreational site for the use and benefit of the general public. So this can't be sold for private interest. That would come up in a title search, presumably, if this was reported properly.
And
So,
she just found this, yeah. Like just.
so anyway, I just wanted to share the grant criteria in terms of how a portion of this property must be utilized for public recreation purposes.
What portion? The portion that we already developed, or, I mean, because you had the pictures up. So what-
Total acreage of that part.
But anyway, as we talk about Booker Park, part of Booker Park, not that part, but the older area, Dunham Street. Dunham Street had been vacated. So, but people still drive from 10th to 9th Street in Booker Park area, right? So, and, Commissioner Campbell just hit on it. Have any talks, I guess this is a cut right question, to create parking in that area due to the fact that it's limited? That would be, I don't know if you still want it to be a thoroughfare through there, but every time we have an event, we block it off. So what better way to block it off than have a parking lot there? So it's already vacated, so I want to know, is that something that you're seeking, or something that we could look into doing? Or if that's an interest, I just want to know. You know what part I'm talking about? Yeah.
Well, the original conversation, is it on? Hello? I'm good? The original conversation for that park right here, when I first got here in 19, the grant had already been in place, but they was gonna take where the washing station at the Public Works back toward the field would be the extra parking space, and the part from the washing station, from Radom office, Radom building forward would be utilized for whatever. But the other part would be for extra parking, because like Commissioner Campbell said, when we do our softball season, you have people almost parking all the way up to Main Street because there's nowhere to park for the teams. We never really explored the Dunham Street at that time, but that is a plausible thing to do, because the parking is the main concern when we do our recreation flag football and softball like that, because it's not adequate parking to have enough teams to really make it viable, because if you have 8 teams, you can only play 2 games a night, and they parked all the way up the street. But the Dunham would be a good idea, but I think if we could, if it's plausible to get that the washing station toward the field, to give us a third field, and adequate about 35 to 40 parking slots, that would make it a viable complex.
Okay, what is the total acreage of that property? Does anybody know off the top of their head? If not, that's fine. You can research that.
And I think it's a development opportunity back there. This don't have anything to do with what we're doing. I think there's a developer that's thinking about developing in that area. So we talking about, traffic. We can't control that because we don't own all of that back there.
Correct.
So my question would really be, are we gonna limit those opportunities to have somebody come and invest in not the property or whatever percentage that we have to
Do they have to have access
dedicate.
right away? They need it
Right,
right away through?
yeah, how are we looking at that to actually accommodate, because we want people to come in and develop a property, I would think. So, and I think that's gonna be a little, what is that, west of that property?
That's
Ms.
right.
West?
And a developer has actually already purchased significant tract is all under one ownership and has been working through the process. I don't have a map to show you, but it is directly adjacent to the Public Works facility, will all be single-family residential.
Yeah. So the traffic is gonna come regardless.
I don't think it was heavy traffic.
No, traffic.
And so what better way not to put it as something, if it's gonna be houses, but you said we
No,
have.
I didn't even chime in on that. What you
No,
said.
no. I was making a reference because if it's going to be, because we can't, it has to be used as a public park, or I would think that would be a benefit to that area because it's, yeah.
Right, right. So,
I believe that was actually expectations of the developer.
right. So I'll tell you, I asked the question, what are we gonna do with that property? Because then I didn't know until, I still don't know, because I guess now we say we're gonna put an additional field in parking. That's where we are.
Well, we like the direction, if that's what
That's,
you all have
Well,
voted
it's
on in the
limitations
past.
about what we can do anyway for that grant, that we have to do some of that, once the brownfields, any remediation is dealt with that for the field, I mean. Parking is less of an issue, but I think we don't have any other choice, from what I understand, pretty much, for part of it. But that's not the whole parcel, right?
It is not, and I literally, this landed on my desk about half an hour
Okay,
before this
we
meeting. So
understand.
I do need to look into it. There was
Okay.
also a comment by Chief Straw that it was used as a cemetery. I looked into that as well. Apparently, this was the facility for the old pound, and so there has been a significant amount of pet disposal.
it was a pet cemetery one time.
Yeah.
So am I hearing, wherever we're not limited, we want to look at having some parking?
Parking and field and.
Yeah, it's definitely parking, because parking is horrible.
And then there was some discussion about the vacated street and.
So when you were going, we were talking about Dome Street, right
Yeah.
behind Pentecostal Church, making a parking area on that, because right now it's a road, but it's just go from 9th to 10th. So, I mean, again, I don't know, I guess that come from planning. I don't know, who made that determination? Will we say that's what we want to see there, or what?
We want to see parking in a field, and then we
Yeah.
have to figure out how to do it for that portion of the property.
Okay.
So, I mean, I think we will need Mr. Lorenzo's help in terms of the vacated street, or Eddie, or whoever, who's not with us in this place.
I just think giving us direction helps us move forward.
And then my question still is, what remains for that property beyond that? How much is there, and what? I know we can't answer that now, I'm just saying, for future discussion.
And where's the water park? Where's the water? Yeah, I mean, I'm
The
just.
splash pad.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
The splash pad is in also Booker Park.
I know, but I was just saying, consider that when we
Where is
are-
it in Booker Park? I think it's where I-
Well,
Where's it gonna be?
We're gonna take a field trip next week.
Yeah, next week, Tuesday,
And decide.
11 o'clock.
Or have some input.
I thought we couldn't do that.
Individually.
A location when you.
If it's
Publicized, if it's publicized.
yes, if it's publicly noticed, you're all welcome to go together.
And we're doing it at what time?
I don't know anything about that.
Well, it's 11 o'clock. 11 o'clock. I'm scheduled to go with a commissioner, with Public Works and the projects manager, so that we can walk through.
Well, I'm gonna
Is
ask,
this Friday?
No, it's next Tuesday.
so I'm gonna ask, when there's an opportunity for something that may be relevant to all of us, is
Okay.
it as publicly notice it and let us know so we can all come in that way?
Yeah, and I
We'll all
can't
be on the
go
same
Tuesday
page.
anyway.
Okay,
And y'all
excellent.
understand
Thank
that
you.
some of us commissioners do have their job.
We're just saying the ones that can't go.
No, but same
For clarity and transparency, I have a standing meeting with the city manager like everybody else. So for that, for my hour, I asked, can we go out there, don't
Yes.
have my meeting inside, but out there so
Exactly.
so I could visually see the concept.
And you can
There
still.
we go.
Absolutely, so I want everybody to know.
If it's not appropriate, I'm fine. You would just be making multiple choices.
But Commissioner Jones,
If it's not,
I'm happy to do whatever works.
but to Commissioner, but to Commissioner Jones, we want to make sure that everybody's getting the same information.
That's it. At the same time.
You're exactly right. Because that's important.
Are we able to do that now with this amount of time?
So essentially, this public works discussion is probably going to have to be further postponed or tabled until we get some of the information that's requested, but more information from staff regarding certain things that are taking place.
so yeah, maybe it's more appropriate to publicly notice a visit for all of us when it makes sense and you carry on as you are. So, because we make it visualize the parking lot, because I can't visualize anything right now.
Because I actually just stated to myself that the splash pad, if that could, but we don't want to have that discussion right now, but I would like to have that opportunity to get the layout as well.
Okay, thank you.
So
I'm gonna follow
No,
up
keep
with
your
the
meeting, that's
city
fine.
clerk.
You can keep yours and go on your little
But we're
field
just
trip.
saying at a future date.
my little field trip.
Yes,
Get parking and all that,
of
so that
course.
maybe we can have we should have
Okay.
a publicly noticed
And,
visit.
and we'll all go together.
Yes,
Because
sir.
I don't want to go, I don't want no information that everybody else don't have.
Well,
I want the information.
You were headed that way.
Because I was forward thinking. Because I'm forward thinking, and that's what I want to see.
All right. I'm asking the city clerk to please notice this, so for next Tuesday, 11 a.m.
Okay.
No.
Oh, in the future.
What we're saying, Ms. Cardi,
Okay.
I think what I heard, what I was.
You can't make it
saying
Tuesday
was
I work at
The
a school.
staff is going to get more information about
okay.
the whole, what we can do and all
Okay.
that.
What the plan is.
Yeah, what
All
the
of
plan
that.
is, so we can look at potential parking spaces. Potential whatever.
Madam Mayor, Commissioner, well, we had Public Works building, and so that was asking what we're gonna do with that property once, it's vacated by Public Works. Something came up in the meeting, and we said we're gonna table it. So this is a general statement about purchasing properties and, how it should come to us. Are there any concerns or any direction, Madam Mayor and Commission, on how we approach that going forward? Because I didn't think it was appropriately done in the meeting, and it almost like it was, the church is what I'm talking about. And I think that, kind of put our meeting as a halt, at a halt and standstill. I thought we said we were gonna actually have that on the agenda today to kind of like, was it not? The
No,
workshop? It's another workshop?
another workshop.
Okay.
Actually, that was rolled to the. it was
Tabled it. We tabled it.
To the
So-
26th.
To another meeting, that's something else.
So are we gonna,
No consent.
It was gonna be put under regular business.
It's a regular
Taken off
business
the
discussion.
consent agenda and put on regular business.
Exactly.
amen, all right. My
And
mind.
So I
also,
do
if I may, oh, I'm sorry. Go.
Go ahead.
No, I think from staff perspective, the understanding we received, anything that's like real estate based or anything like that, no matter, even though it may be a resolution, because that's what is normally done here at this municipality, but we will still reflect it under regular business. Okay.
So the resolutions have been practiced or they're policy?
No, it is by resolution because it was a letter of intent, which is why it was put on consent with the expectation that it was going to get pulled for purposes of discussion.
But that's okay, we changed it now.
Yeah, but just like we said about our resolution stuff, sometimes it can slip through the cracks. And if we didn't, if it wasn't pulled, it would have went through, so.
Yes, it would have. But
I'm glad this.
I was gonna get to, board roles and responsibilities.
Yes, ma'am.
I just have one quick thing before,
Go ahead.
because I made the request prior that we have a workshop with regards to the Jenkins Community Center, and making sure that the intent of that facility is what it needs to be, because again, there have been several leader changes from the dais all the way to administration. And Mr. Cutright has been doing a phenomenal job of trying to make sure that it reflects the intent of what the commission desires. But I just want to bring a little bit more clarity so that they're able to really move forward. They are doing a phenomenal job there, but I want to make sure that we have a vast understanding and they have an understanding of what's desired from the commission, so he's not just operating off of assumptions.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Commissioner Campbell, I did look into the resign to run law to answer the question that you posed earlier about whether or not a candidate has to resign. They normally would, but there are exceptions. It doesn't apply to volunteer advisory boards with no final authority. And so that would be the case with the candidates that I'm aware of, unless.
So it makes sense for me because I was on the planning board, so that was a decision. That's fine.
Does it apply to quasi-judicial law?
Which candidate are, my understanding,
Historic Preservation Board. There is somebody on that board that's running for office.
oh, I see.
So I'm asking, is that the case for those two boards specifically?
Yes, that would be a certificate of appropriateness. Let me further research that. I believe it probably would be a final position of authority on that.
And my term was up and I wasn't reappointed in the case of me, but it was
Right.
the same board.
I'm sorry, I thought you were talking about James Norwood
We
and his
were, but
capacity.
there was another candidate on the board.
All right,
There's a candidate on that board when I ran. That stayed on the board.
Well, anyway, just make sure we have it, we're doing it.
Just for transparency.
And we have a motion to adjourn?
So move.